Hello, bonjour, and ahoy. I'm Roger Hilton, and welcome to the new season of the GLOBSEC Wire. On this week's episode, the security situation in Ukraine and the possible diplomatic and military outcomes. The buildup of Russian troops on Ukraine border has sent waves through Europe and North America, with many experts fearing the worst. A flurry of diplomatic activity between Moscow and Washington and other European capitals has looked to diffuse the situation and de-escalate current tensions. At the same time, NATO and its allies are taking steps to reinforce its defenses and plan for any contingency, while calling for a diplomatic solution. Staying in Brussels, the EU has stressed unity and that nothing is off the table when it comes to punishing Russia should the crisis escalate. As the Ukrainian government stresses calm and requests direct talks with Russia, some citizens are leaving nothing to chance. Given the unpredictability of the situation, please allow me to welcome former Ukrainian Foreign Minister Pavlo Klimkin to the GLOBSEC Wire to provide some analysis. Minister, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. It's good to be with you.
Minister, you are no stranger to the threat of Russia. Can you maybe help our viewers understand what major security threat Ukraine poses to Russia, according to President Putin?
Basically no threat at all. But in Putin's mentality, the mere fact of our existence, not even success, but our existence, is a fundamental threat to the Russian model, how Putin believes he had created it. And the Russian system of vertical steering everything in Russia, the completely different value system, so-called scrappers, is fundamentally different from the European ones. And he would like not just to retain his system, he would like to further develop his system, so-called transfer of power and the problem of 2024. Actually, we have elections in 2024, not only in Russia, but also in US and Ukraine. And the couple of years in front of us would be quite challenging for us.
Minister, I think that's great and very relevant that you mentioned the power vertical that the Russian government is using. Shifting more to the border with Ukraine, in your opinion, is there something that Russian military planners are potentially underestimating about Ukraine in the face of this conflict?
Definitely, because Putin is unpredictable. Putin is playing on his unpredictability. And because of that, he was able to take up initiative, at least partially. Because everybody guessing on his unpredictability, it creates a space for him. He is already able to start negotiations with the US. He is already able to talk to a number of key European leaders. He is in the mood to publish his proposals, somehow teasing up the West. But the clear point that China is watching, and the West can't afford to give in on Putin. Otherwise, it's gonna lose its credibility also to China. It's not only about Putin, but for Ukraine, it's about our existence, and it's not just about military threat. It's about combination of military and hybrid threats.
Minister, obviously, I'm so happy that you brought up the issue of China. Recently, with Xi Jinping and President Putin meeting in Beijing before the Olympics, they issued a long statement condemning NATO expansion. But China's in a bit of a tricky place given their policy of non-interference. Mr. Minister, let me just ask you, there's a lot of rumors going around and hypotheses, but let me ask you, should Russia invade Ukraine, what does the day afterwards look like, both for Ukraine and for Russia?
For us, it's about fighting. We have more than 400,000 people who have experience fighting in Donbass. We have, according to all recent opinion polls, more than 1/3 of Ukrainians who are ready right now to fight with weapons in their arms against Russia. Ukrainians are tough mentally. And they are committed to Ukraine, to our land, to the sense of having Ukraine and not wasting another chance to have independent Ukraine. So I don't believe Putin is ready for a large-scale invasion now. He understands it's gonna bring him a lot of cost, human cost, military cost, political cost. But he will try to destabilize Ukraine and to use it as a pretext for different military provocations. So if you ask me, it's gonna be a combination of military and hybrid threats.
Mr. Minister, as you said, I mean, the Ukrainian army and its citizens, they barely resemble what they looked like back in 2014 at the onset of it. You have a military who's battle hardened. You've received very advanced military equipment, whether it's the Javelin missile system or other ones. And even more importantly, the intelligence that the Ukrainian government is receiving from the State Department regarding the potential threat of a false flag attack. Mr. Minister, let me ask you, if you could demand any support, material or financial, from Western allies and its partners, what would you specifically be asking for?
I would start not with material support, but asking for security guarantees from the US, probably the same scale as South Korea or Japan enjoying now from the United States. We could be in the NATO in some moment in time, but we need to defend our country now. So security guarantees is number one. The second point is more of military assistance, asymmetric one, in order to provide a damage for the Russians, which definitely prevents them from a large-scale attack. And the third one is emergency economic assistance, because we are under pressure. Our exchange rate is under pressure. Investors are scared by Putin, and macroeconomic situation could get under pressure. So for me, it's 1, 2, 3. Security assistance, more targeted military assistance, and of course, troops on Ukrainian territory. And the third one, emergency economic assistance.
Mr. Minister, the final question I have for you is, obviously NATO's been front and center when it comes to, hard security, but when it comes to soft security in the EU, in your mind, what does this financial emergency security, financial assistance look like to you? I mean, what does Ukraine need right now to keep the currency strong and just to be more resilient in the face of economic pressure based on Russian destabilization?
Firstly, political support in the sense of clear insurance to investors by Europeans and US that they're not going to lose on Ukraine. And the real fight for Ukraine, a real declaration of sanctions, which should be a game changer for Russia, is really helpful here, is immensely helpful here. And of course, probably guarantees, financial guarantees, what we were getting from the US in 2015 and 2016. It could be kind of breach in the future for us when we are under pressure. But fundamentally, the EU and also NATO are still far from being proactive. They are reacting to different Russian hybrid threats. They have to get proactive. It's really my message.
Well, Mr. Minister, I mean, obviously, given the complexity of the situation, we can't thank you enough here at GLOBSEC for coming on and giving your insight. Whether it's financial support, material support, or the need for Ukrainian security assistance, you really enlightened all of our viewers on it. So, Minister, thank you so much for joining the GLOBSEC Wire, and we really hope to stay in contact and hear from you again as the situation evolves.
Thanks a lot.
Ciao.
Thanks a lot for your assistance. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Given the proximity of Ukraine to Slovakia and a 97-kilometer shared border, the Wire will be returning to this issue as the security situation evolves. You can find more on Ukraine and other global issues at globsec.org. Stay tuned for our next episode, and ciao.